Hello everybody. We are in chapter 4 of 1 John, and today we get to talk about two opposites once again in 1 John. Today though, it's the Spirit of God and the Antichrist, or the spirit of the Antichrist, or rather the spirits of the Antichrist. So if you remember, I really didn't deal with the last verse of chapter 3. Let me read that to you. It says, whoever keeps his commandments abides in God. And there it's talking about love and practicing righteousness, and God in him. And by this we know that he abides in us by the Spirit whom he has given us. And I didn't deal with that yesterday because often when we talk about how do you know you have the Holy Spirit, we reduce that down to experience. Well, have you experienced him? And absolutely you can experience the living God in you. But I don't want to reduce simply down, you have to have a certain experience to prove the Spirit of God is in you. John actually goes on to talk about one aspect of proof the Spirit of God is in you. And so let's look at that. We get to chapter 4. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. If you remember back in chapter 2, he talked about there were those who were among us, but they went out from us because they were not really of us. I believe that's the false prophets. No longer teaching the proper church doctrine, biblical doctrine, so they separate and become separate churches, you might say. So John is saying they're false prophets. And by this, you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and now is in the world already. So right here, John tells you one aspect of how you know you have the Spirit. Is there an internal witness that Jesus is the Christ and he has come in the flesh? If you remember when we first started this book, we talked about the heresy of Gnosticism. And Gnosticism has many facets to it, but one of those facets is that they do not believe that God became human because you see, all physical matter, everything physical is evil. So God could not become physical being. Therefore, Jesus did not become human. It's called Docetism. He just seemed to be human. Well, that's the spirit of the Antichrist. The Spirit of God is going to bring you to the belief that Jesus is the Christ. He's the Messiah who has become truly human, come in the flesh, a body just like yours and mine. That's how John talks about the body. He uses the word the flesh. Well, we go on now to hear more about this Antichrist. Little children, you are from God and have overcome them. For he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us. Whoever is not from God does not listen to us. By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. So this Antichrist, or the spirit of the Antichrist, he talks here about many Antichrists have come, and there's the spirits of the Antichrist, but there's like one person coming who's called the Antichrist. And this is the only reference we have in John. It's interesting that we use the word Antichrist to refer to this coming evil world ruler in the future at the end time. But John gives us very little information, and he's the only one that uses the term Antichrist. Paul talks about the man of lawlessness in 2 Thessalonians. The Apostle John also talks about the beast in Revelation 13. We get way more information from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and Revelation 13 about what this person is going to be like. Here, though, we just see this idea of error and truth. Those who claim Jesus came in the flesh, and those who deny Jesus came in the flesh. So the Antichrist, those who are opposed to Jesus, those who want to replace Jesus, will deny that he was truly human. So we know the spirit of truth, the internal witness that the Spirit of God says to you, your Messiah has come, he's become truly human, and he's come to die for you. Outside of that, we don't learn a lot about the Antichrist here. Every spirit that does not confess Jesus Christ is not from God. And, let me go back up. Just lost my place. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. We could spend a lot of time talking about that, but rest assured, the Spirit of God is in you. yes, experience comes with that. All sorts of emotions and even the miraculous comes with that. But what is at the core and heart of that is the Spirit teaches you that Jesus is the Christ who's become human. And that is your foundation. And the evil spirits of the world, the false prophets, the spirits of the Antichrist, have no place in you. This really addresses the concept of demon oppression, demon possession. You belong to God. The Spirit of God is in you. The devil has nothing in you unless you give it to him. So that takes us back up. Are we practicing righteousness? Now I'm rambling. Incredible passage here. Read it over and over, but recognize this. If you've come to believe in Jesus, that he is God in the flesh, the Spirit of God is the one who told you that. Understand this. He is in you, and you have no fear of evil spirits being in you, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. We'll talk tomorrow again about love.